planet can support something like 1 billion people. So we're going to have 1 billion people. And we're now at 7, so we have to get back down. I hope that this can be slow, relatively slow, and that it can be done in a way which is relatively equal.
Friends, we have a very disturbing segment on the YouTube channel today. I'm going to show you a series of videos of people talking, people in power, unelected bureaucrats, a system, not the system that we set up, a system that has set itself against human beings for the purpose of eradicating human lives. The reason I'm going to be sharing this is to show you we are in a spiritual warfare. Number 2, the devil is angry. Number 3, the beast system that will eventually be used against the people of God, that we will not be able to buy and sell, is already in place. And number 4, friends, we need the Lord and we need knowledge. Now, let me share a few verses with you, and I'm not going to elaborate too much. I'm just going to read because they're going to explain themselves as we go through the video. Number 1, Ephesians 2 verse 2, wherein in time past you walk according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that now dwelleth in the children of disobedience. Now, the prince of the power of the air is the devil, but his spirit is dwelling in the children of disobedience. Okay, let's go to number 2. Revelation 12 verse 12, therefore rejoice, you heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil has come unto you having what kind of wrath? Having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. According to this verse, what are we told about the devil? He is mad. He is angry. He is furious. Okay, so now let's move on. But who is he mad at? Those who live on the earth. Now let's move on. My people are destroyed for what kind of knowledge? For lack of knowledge. Why are the people of God destroyed? For lack of knowledge. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, and I will also reject thee, and thou shalt be no priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, and I will also forget thy children. So in part, the people are being destroyed because they don't have knowledge, and the knowledge is a knowledge of God, and therefore the enemies of the people are able to take advantage of the people because the people do not have a knowledge of God's law, God's will, and the result of that, they become vulnerable to their enemies. Are we understanding each other? Let's move on to the next verse. Revelation chapter 11 verse 18. The nations were angry, and thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged, that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. Jesus says before he returns, there will be a system in place destroying the earth. And if they destroying the earth, guess what they're also doing to human lives? They are destroying human lives. Okay, having said that, brace yourself. We're going to go through a series of videos today, and I'm telling you, it's going to speak for itself. Is going to speak for itself. Let's begin with this one.
Create more of a population problem. This is a very important question to get right, because it was absolutely key for me. When our foundation first started up, it was focused on reproductive health. That was the main thing we did, because I thought, population growth in poor countries is the biggest problem they face. You've got to help mothers who want to limit family size have the tools and education to do that. And I thought that's the only thing that really counts. Now, the world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
That's video number 1. Let's go to video number 2.
The first week we met in January of 19 in California, and to set up the goals for the next 5 years. And one of them was by 2023, we will reduce the number of people in the world by 50%. I think today this dream is becoming reality.
The dream is becoming a reality. What is that dream? Reducing the population to 50%. Let's look at another one. This is the vice president speaking right now. What does she think?
When we invest in clean energy and electric vehicles and reduce population, more of our children can breathe clean air and drink clean water.
So part of the plan is to reduce who? Okay, you heard it. So let's look at another one.
Davos, a few years ago, the Edelman survey showed us that the good news is the elite across the world trust each other more and more. So we can come together and design and do beautiful things together. The bad news is that in every single country they were polling, the majority of people trusted that elite less. So we can lead, but...
Do you wonder why they trust the elite less? I don't wonder. I don't know why they do. Now, here is another one. Okay, so this is WEF again. This is Guru. And I want you to hear, they are very clear and very bold about what they are doing. Listen.
So in the session we just attended here at the Economic Forum, I think there was a sense of relief actually in your frankness. You brought up some issues that others are reluctant to bring up.
Always. All the religious groups are against me because I'm talking about population. They want more souls, I want less on the planet. For example, I'm picking on agriculture because it is the biggest land user and also biggest water user on the planet. The way we eat is ecologically disastrous. The way we dress is ecologically disastrous because the third largest polluter on the planet is textiles. Most people don't know this. So, everything that we do has become violent in the world, the very way we exist. In the beginning of 20th century, we were just about 1.5 billion people. Today, we are 7.3 billion people. The United Nations making predictions that by 2050, we will be 9.7 billion people. 9.7 billion people, or nearly 10 billion people on this planet, is for sure going to be a disaster. I was in a conference and I said, see, unless you unless you reduce the human footprint on the planet, there is no solution for anything. Then they asked me a brilliant question, how do you reduce the human footprint? I said, you have to reduce the number of feet. That's the only way. We can take it upon ourselves that we will not push the human population. You can have a dog. I am not saying children are bad, they're wonderful, but it's just too many. We as human beings, we are wonderful, but we are too many. We are so many that the insect population is going down. No, it's not a joke, it's very threatening. If the insect population disappears, the planet will be destroyed. Yes, the worms disappear, the planet will be destroyed. If you and me disappear, planet will flourish.
Oh, I'm not done.
Beautiful.
I got more.
We've only got this one beautiful planet Earth. We've got to reduce the unrealistic, unsustainable lifestyle of so many people on the planet. We also, and here's a thing for all of you young people, a nightmare that you're presented with. That's already there are 8 billion of us on the planet. Already we're beginning to run out of some natural resources, faster than nature can replenish them. By 2050, it's estimated there will be 10 billion. And people are saying, well, if everybody acquires the standard of living just of a normal person, you know, not the super wealthy with all their private jets and blah, 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 then we would need 4 new planets. We haven't got 4 new planets.
I got more. Are you hearing the message? All right, here is… You thought you heard something disturbing? No, you did not. Wait till you hear the word of Dennis Meadows. I'm not sure if he's still alive. I'm not sure if he's gone, but he was part of the Club of Rome. Anyway, there's a whole history behind this, but the point is, I want you to hear the words of this man.
But in one way or another, we are so far, globally, we are so far above the population and the consumption levels which can be supported by this planet that I know in one way or another it's going to come back down. So I don't hope to avoid that. I hope that it can occur in a civil way, and I mean civil in a special way, peaceful. Peace doesn't mean that everybody's happy, but it means that conflict isn't solved through violence, through force, but rather in other ways. And so that's what I hope for. That we can, I mean, the planet can support something like 1 billion people, maybe 2 billion, depending on how much liberty and how much material consumption you want to have. If you want more liberty and more consumption, you have to have fewer people. And conversely, you can have more people. I mean, we could even have 8 or 9 billion probably if we have a very strong dictatorship, which is smart. That's, unfortunately, you never have smart dictatorships. They're always stupid. So, but if you had a smart dictatorship and a low standard of living, you can have it. But we want to have freedom and we want to have a high sentence. So we're going to have 1 billion people. And we're now at 7, so we have to get back down. I hope that this can be slow, relatively slow, and that it can be done in a way which is relatively equal, so that people share the experience and you don't have a few rich, trying to force everybody else to deal with it. So those are my hopes. I mean, these are pretty pessimistic hopes, but I mean, that's what lies ahead.
Let me pause to make this remark. If you told me 3 years ago that there were people on a planet having thoughts to eradicate the human lives for the purpose of saving the planet so that we can have our supposed freedom, I would have called you a conspiracy theorist. Well, you know what? Not so today. Not so today. But here is, again, the girl that we just listened to, the lady we just listened to, Jane Goodall. And I want you to hear what she says again. This is the second remark that she made about this.
You have some thoughts about population as a driver beneath all of these things that we're talking about. What should be done about population?
For a long time, it was considered politically incorrect to even mention it. And most of the big conservation organizations refused to mention it. But I always thought, I mean, you see what happens. In the old days, there were cultures in a lot of these indigenous people, and you had lots of children because they looked after you in your old age, and you shared out the land. But now it's different, and they know it's different. And that's why there were bare hills all around Gombe. So we've introduced in our program, we've introduced family planning, so welcomed by the people, because they know that things are different. And of course, this administration is cutting family planning around the developing world, which is terrifying to me. And so if you approach family planning right, it's something that's very, very important. And when it was considered politically incorrect to mention it, and I was determined to mention it, I decided to call it voluntary population optimization. So by the time people worked it out.
And research shows educating girls is one of the smartest things.
I meant to say that, yes, indeed. Women's education, empowering women, and scholarships to keep girls in school beyond puberty. Family size then tends to drop worldwide, indeed.
So has it been successful? Is the question we're asking now. The answer is yes. According to Washington Post, millennials aren't having kids. Here is why. Since the mid of 1980s, the rate at which we produce only children have remained absolutely flat. Something like 1 in 5 American women aged 25 to 44, or 1 and done. That's it. So what does this tell you? The birth rate is dropping tremendously. Falling birth rate, not due to less desire to have children. And they're also making a connection. People who believe in climate change are not having children. Okay, so we want to fight climate change, have fewer children. So that's the message that is being pumped in the mind of the masses. And guess what? They are responding. Have you heard of the Danks? You know who the Danks are? This is the Danks. It's called Dual Income, No Kids. This is a movement of people going to college, getting married, getting homes, living lives, but no children. Why? Population control. So on one end, the people are responding. On the other end, the elites, those in power, those with the money, are indoctrinating the masses, and they are falling for it. And also at the other end, we have another movement that are canceling children in the womb, if you know what I mean, code words. Canceling children in the womb, and it's happening at an alarming rate. We talk about over 600,000 yearly, right? Just in the United States alone. We're not talking about the rest of the world. So that is also going on. At the other end of the issue, the elderlies are also dying at a much faster rate as well. So guess what's going on? Population control.
We're dinks. Of course we have no snacks in our pantry.
We're dinks. Of course we have a baby gate for our dogs.
We're dinks. Of course we have a table that seats 8 people for the 2 of us. Can you pass the butter?
Yeah, sure. We're dinks. Of course we spend all our money on our dogs.
We're dinks. Of course we have our wedding photos all over the house.
So what you are hearing is that less and less people are having children. They are responding to the notion. This is a very common theme, and these videos have gone completely viral.
We're dinks. Our house is clean and quiet.
We're dinks. We can go to bed at 9 p.m. and still complain about being tired.
We're dinks. We have a pet that we treat like our child.
We're dinks. We get to be the fun aunt and uncle.
We're dinks. We buy plane tickets instead of presents.
We're dinks. We spend money on things that we want, like boats.
We're dinks. We can go on vacation on a whim.
We're dinks. The only asses we wipe are our own.
We're dinks. We can be drunk right now.
So you get this sense of what's going on here? All right. So Elon Musk responded to this because part of the perspective he shared was this is the result of what he called the death cult.
Now you have to say, well, what philosophy led to that outcome? And that philosophy was being piped to Earth. So, a philosophy that would be ordinarily quite niche and geographically constrained, so that the fallout area would be limited, was effectively given an information weapon, information technology weapon to propagate what is essentially a mind virus to the rest of Earth. And the outcome of that mind virus is very clear if you walk around the streets of downtown San Francisco. It is the end of civilization.
And it's not just propagating the mind virus, but suppressing any opposing viewpoints.
Yes. Well, in order for the virus to propagate, it must suppress opposing viewpoints. So,
because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny.
Correct.
Yeah.
You've felt the virus. You know? Yeah. People will try to cancel you so many times.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think you're melodramatic at all. I think it's I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. No, that is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like, there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the extinctionist movement, and he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, "There are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none." Ooh. And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Yeah. Does he have friends? That's what always fascinates me. Well, here he is.
That guy.
He looks like he's not long for this earth.
I mean, he's not
Voluntary.
young.
All right, I think that's enough. And what I said from the beginning, friends, there is a system in place being set up which will eventually be used against the people of God. You say, what do you mean by that? All right, let me open my Bible. Let me show you what the Bible says. Revelation chapter 13 speaks about a system that will be used to eradicate human lives of those who do not worship the beast, nor the image of the beast, nor receiving the mark of his name. The Bible says he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause, as that many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So you need a system for that. And what you were listening to is a system already being set up for that purpose. Again, there could be several reasons why they feel they need to do such a thing. But when you go to the Bible, what did God say from the very beginning, friends? Be fruitful and multiply. We are told that the birth rate was 2.5 just about 10 something years ago. But ever since, the message of saving the climate has been pumping down the pipeline of human conscience ever since. This has brought the death rate down to 1.4%. In average, the American person could have one something child. We're talking, in some cases, many of them are having no children. What impact does this have? It creates a number of problems for human civilization. Not only so, there is another push now to bring migrants into the country to replace the low birth rate that's taking place in the world. And there's a whole nother political side to this thing, which I'm not gonna get into at this moment. What I want to say is this, friends, what you are hearing here is the wrath of the dragon. What you just listened to is the devil's plan. And that's what we were talking about. There will come to a place where they feel the need to destroy the earth and the lives of those in which living on the earth. Let's go to the Bible, and I'm going to show you the ideology that is behind the system that is causing men to do things such as the population control, as we refer to it. Now, here's the thing. Now, I want you to notice what's going on here. Have the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eateth my people as they eat bread, and call not upon the Lord? What are they doing? They are destroying human lives. But I want you to notice how the Bible speaks about that. It speaks about that in this way. The fool hath said in his heart, there is no God. That is the philosophy. What's the philosophy here? It's an atheistic philosophy. It's a philosophy that does not depend on the reality whether or not God exists. It's a philosophy that gets rid of God from the mind. And here is the thing. You get rid of God from your mind, it won't be long before you get rid of your neighbors and your friends and your family members. That is the downtrodden, that down spiral of destruction that tends to happen as a result of these type of philosophies. Again, what do you have? The fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good. They look down from heaven and the Lord looked down from heaven upon the children of men, that they were, if there were any that did understand and seek God, what? They are all gone aside. They all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. And this is why they do what they do here, friends. They begin to eat. We are told they eat my people as they eat bread. Next verse tells us that they were in great fear, for God is in the generation of the righteous. They were in great fear. Why are they in fear? Why are they in fear? The Bible says in Luke chapter 17, men's hearts failing them for fear, for looking up upon those things that are coming on the earth. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. They are in fear. We don't know if we have another planet left. We're not sure how much time there is left. We don't know. We have to save the planet. Yada, yada, yada. The reason why these men are motivated by fear to do what they are doing, they don't have faith in God. Now, let me share another thing with you. Because if you don't have faith in God, you have no hope of eternal life. Therefore, your perception of reality is only based on this world. And you don't understand that God has a much better place in store for those of us who believe. And guess what? You will treat people so that you can protect yourself from the world. Sustainability is the word. But what they're really advocating for is human depopulation. Now, let me read to you the great controversy, and I'm done. Satan works to the elements also to garner his harvest unprepared souls. He had studied the secret of laboratories of nature. He uses his power to control the elements as God allows. When he was suffered to afflict Job, how quickly flocks and herbs and servants and houses and children were swept away, one trouble succeeding another in a moment. It is God that shields his children and hedges them in from the power of the destroyer. But the Christian world have shown contempt for the law of Jehovah. And the Lord will do just as he has declared that he will do. He will withdraw his blessings from the earth and remove his protection, his protecting care from those who are rebelling against the law, against his law and teaching, forcing others to do the same. Satan has control of all whom God does not, especially God. Didn't I read to you that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because they have rejected knowledge? The Bible says. We are told furthermore, he will favor and prosper some in order to further his own designs, and will bring trouble upon others and lead men to believe that it is God who is afflicting them. Have mercy. While appearing to the children of men as a great physician who can heal all their maladies, he will bring disease and disaster until popular cities are reduced to ruin and desolation. We are told even now he is at work in accidents, in calamities by sea and by land, in great conflagration, in fierce tornadoes and terrific hailstorms, in tempests and floods and cyclones and tidal waves, earthquakes in every place, in a thousand forms. Satan is doing what? Satan is exercising his power. Can somebody say climate change? He sweeps away the ripening harvest, and famine and distress follow. He imparts to the air a deadly tent, and thousands perish by the pestilence. These visitations are becoming more and more frequent and disastrous. Destruction will be upon both man and beast. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The hardy people do languish. The earth also defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, and broken the everlasting covenant. GC 589, paragraph 3. What else do you want me to say? I'm done talking.